Producer Spotlight with Mr. Instro.
You can be a beat maker and not be a music producer. But when you're a music producer, you don't have to be a beat maker.
Only on the element.
You're the element. Oh, that felt good.
Love it.
Do you love it?
Absolutely love it.
What happened today? You don't normally love it.
It just really sounded good today.
Oh my God. Woo.
No, for real.
What do you want from me, Instro? Tell me. Tell me. You ain't gotta lie.
Dope top, by the way. That top is.
No, it's a two-piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah?
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Let me stand up so you can see me, Mr. Instro.
Yeah. No, it looks good.
Got better two-piece, nyana.
It works.
And it's not black. One. Yes.
Black.
No, that's not a shot at you. I was told to stop wearing dark colors.
Yeah.
A while ago, so I'm trying to do the right thing. So
it's
this
working.
is. Thank you. Hi,
really
Instro.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm surviving. I'm living. But I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I can't complain at all. It's good to be back. I haven't been on air in a minute.
Do you feel rusty?
Yeah. I do, but I'm excited because I'm not as nervous as I usually am, so that goes a long way.
I can't believe you still get nervous.
I do, man. You know what they say? They say when you care about something enough, it'll make you nervous. So
all right, so if you have just joined us, it is the Producer Spotlight with myself, the Pristine Queen, and Mr. Instro. The roles that we take for Producer Spotlight: he's the professor, I am the student, and each week we take a look at a really, really dope producer, and we look at their moves, the songs that they've made, and their life as well, and see what we can take from them. And tonight is no different. Hit us up on 074-940-7992 if you want to send us a voice note, or tweet us on @MassiveMetro, and make sure you use the hashtag The Element and hashtag Producer Spotlight so we can find you easily. Now, I did sing already, but I have to sing officially and say, Mr. Instro is here.
I haven't direct in the flesh, baby.
Yes.
I'm here.
All right, Mr. Instro, with the bit of nerves, who are we looking at tonight?
We are looking at Jersey-based music producer Cardiak.
Yes.
Now, Cardiak is one of those producers that we don't usually see on the scene, but I've seen, now that I've done a bit of research, I can see that he's made efforts to get himself out there. He's very well renowned. A lot of people who are in the game know the name, but like the face, not really. The personality, not so much. But he, I think, has done so much in terms of getting himself out there in the past few years. I mean, he's produced really, really big songs, but I think he's found himself a voice, you know.
That's cool.
And that's great to see. And I think let's get to to hear more about him in terms of his story, please.
All right, so I've got a bio here. Shout out to peoplepool.com. That's where I pulled it from. Carl McCormick, professionally known as Cardiak, is an American record producer from Willingboro Township in New Jersey. And he's celebrating his birthday in 3 days. Born on the 26th of June in 1989. 1989, that means he's turning 32.
Yes.
Yeah. So he began producing music in 2008 and is widely known for his work with closely associated artists such as, let's pause for it, Ace Hood, J.Cole, Drake, Joe Budden, Lloyd Banks, Freeway, DJ Khaled, Rick Ross, Meek Mill, Trina, Red Cafe, Boosie Badass, Wale, Fabolous, D-Block, Dr. Dre, and more. All right, so I just needed us to take a pause to recognize that he's actually a big deal. Even if you might not know his face, as Mr. Instro says, people know the name, but might not know the face, but you should know the work. So he received notoriety for the first major placement in 2010 for his production of Lloyd Banks' underground hit single Started Up, featuring Kanye West, Ryan Leslie, Swizz Beatz and Fabolous. He also featured on Banks' third studio album, The Hunger for More 2, accompanied by his two other contributions as producer on Take 'Em to War, featuring Tony Yayo, and Unexplainable featuring Styles P. Now, Started Up, that Lloyd Banks joint, peaked at position 52 on the Billboard Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs list. He received his first Grammy Award nomination in 2013 for Best Rap Album because of his production of Amsterdam and Diced Pineapples featuring Drake and Wale for Rick Ross's 5th studio album God Forgives, I Don't, which was released in 2012 and peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200. In early 2015, he won his first Grammy for Best Rap Album for his production of Groundhog Day for the deluxe edition of Eminem's 8th studio album, The Marshall Mathers LP 2.
Yep.
That's the man.
Lengthy, right? Lengthy. Lengthy. That means he has done so much. And how he's done it for me is the most fascinating part about his career. I think unlike other producers that we've done in the past, it's very special for us to mention Cardiak because I think he's the epitome of
epitome.
The epitome, yes. Hey, why are you? You're reminding me. Anyway, yes. I mean, he's okay. I would say Kanye West is the epitome of a collaborative producer, but I think Cardiak is a close second because he's always been open. When you check a lot of the productions that he's done, I mean, the first record, the Lloyd Banks record, when you look at that, who are the features? Kanye West.
Yes.
Swizz Beatz.
Yes. Ryan Leslie.
What are those people?
Yeah.
Though all those three are music producers.
Right.
So you best know they're gonna get their percentage out of the production space. But it's dope that he was open enough to say, yo, let's go, let's do it,
let's work.
Yeah, so I think it's important as a music producer to always keep an open mind about working with individuals. It's such a great example, even with Deep Waters, featuring Kendrick Lamar, featuring Anderson .Paak. That's like, I guess the pinnacle. You're working with Dr. Dre, and his responsibility mainly on that song was doing the drums.
Okay, we're going to take a musical break, right?
Okay.
And then we're going to come back and get back into it. We're going to play J.Cole with Love Yours, and then we're going to unpack a hell of a lot more. We're going until 7:30. It is the producer's spotlight on The Element. It's all for the love of hip-hop every weekday from 6 until 8 p.m. And you can catch this segment every Wednesday from 6:30 until 7:30. Only on The Element, 9 minutes to go before we head to 7 o'clock. It is the producer's spotlight with myself and Mr. Instro. Tonight we are taking a look at Cardiak. And Mr. Instro is the professor. I am the student. I don't have my pen, but I do have my labzana to take the notes on this incredible producer. So where are we going now, Mr. Instro? Okay,
so we're going to the beginning, right?
All right.
So how he actually got in the game is he was big on this program. Actually, producers, man, y'all need to step your internet game up. Okay? That's just one of the most important things, because if Cardiak wasn't crazy about the internet, knowing what's going on and who's hot on what and who's doing what where, it would mess up his chances of ever getting discovered. So there's this website called Ustream. Yeah, here we go, where he got in touch with Joe Budden, and he emailed him some music, and Joe Budden liked it, and he put it on his mixtape. I mean, it wasn't a big release. I think it was a mixtape that he released.
Right.
But I mean, it was a step in the right direction. And people like Cardiak, I like, because they understand the value of relationships. Yeah. So if you have one connection, right, and somebody like Joe Budden uses your music or has some sort of level of respect for your art, I think that opens doors for you to be able to speak to other people, right?
100%, yeah.
And I think we need to learn the language, I think I've said this before.
Yes.
We need to learn the language so that we're able to network. I need to be able, if I'm able to speak to Joe Budden, right, I have to be able to learn how to speak to who else is in Slaughterhouse? I have to be able to speak to Crooked Eye. I have to be able to speak to Royce 5'9", you know, and not to say that they would respond or whatever, but there's a certain etiquette that comes into play, and I think as producers we need to develop that. It's very rare that you find somebody having that etiquette naturally.
So when you speak about etiquette, Mr. Instro, and learning to speak the language and learning the language, do you mean business etiquette, professionalism, or do you mean being well versed in production language, right? Because in every different industry that you are in, there's a certain way that you speak. There's tech speak, there's radio speak, and if you don't know anything about that industry, you could find yourself being a little bit confused. But what specifically do you mean here? Because a producer is in that space, so they know how to speak production, let's say, but they might not know how to speak business. Or what is it? Do they need to know how to speak politics? Do they need to know how to speak worldly things? Where should they start to draw from if they are not in the position where they can speak to those kinds of people?
That's a great question, because it actually defines what a good producer and a great producer is. You know, being able to carry yourself in a way that will make people like you, that'll make people I guess relate with you. I would say that I feel it's important to get your etiquette from the technical aspect. That's good.
Okay. Yes.
You know, that's good. That means you will your skill will improve just by understanding the language, the technical language of how to make music. Your sound will definitely improve.
Okay.
But what I was referring to earlier was etiquette in terms of having certain relationships and nurturing them. I think we find ourselves in very strange times now when a lot of people just want to use each other, and there's no real relationship that goes into, you know, making music. And I feel that it's time to reintroduce that way, because that way is successful. Yes. Right? It works. If I have a great experience with Joe Budden, okay, chances are I'm going to study him and what he likes and what he gravitates towards sonically. Right. I'm going to study him so that when I meet another artist of his caliber, I already know what's the lingo. It reminds me of a time when I was in studio with Cash Time. Story time,
my favorite thing about the producer spotlight. Yes, tell us.
With Cash Time, they were Cash Time family at the time. Right. So that's not like the Cash Time life. That's Cash Time family. That's Zinger, who was known as Smashes back then, and Kid X, right? And it was so amazing to me to you know, to have them in studio, because they had a language, they had a lingo, you know. Okay. It are over, it arrange. You know, they spoke like that, and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. But I took note of it, and I knew that, okay, cool, it seems like this is the cool thing to do. And not so long after that, I heard JR say it, you know, and I'm like, okay, so this is the language. This is how, you know, the rap game is actually relate. Exactly, to be relatable. Yes. To actually, you know, say I'm part of you. I know the game.
Same like WhatsApp groups.
Exactly. Yes. So that's what I mean. I mean, outside of the technical space, it's so important. It's important to know the technicalities, you know. I mean, a lot of producers feel they don't need to know that. And I mean, yeah, you don't have to, but I swear, take it from me. If you understand what a compressor does, on a intellectual level, not at a no, I hear it and I press this button and I press that button and it does something, because we have a lot of producers that work that way, you know. They don't really mad tricky. They don't really have the understanding of how certain things work. It's all trial and error. And while that isn't a bad thing, I think in the long run, it limits you. You know, it's good to know what these things actually do so you can manipulate them to their biggest.
I think you're so right. It reminds me of a tweet that Toady Mac, I think it was Toady Mac, put out maybe last month or so. And he put out, you can see that I'm not a producer. So he put out this picture of this big production table thingy.
Yes, right? Yeah, I think I remember that too.
Okay,
yes.
That's how you know I ain't no producer. So this big production table thingy, and he had said that, you know, it's good to know, at the very least, just to know what everything does.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? And then PH Raw X came in, and I was so impressed because he was like, yeah, but if you know right now, you know you only need this, this, and you can make it happen. And I was like, I don't even know what he's talking about.
Let me tell you what he was actually. But I was
mad impressed.
Yeah, let me tell you what he was actually saying. He was saying that these big studios are for show nowadays because most of the time you're using a digital audio workstation. Okay.
That's what DAW stands for.
That's what DAW stands for. We use digital digital audio workstations.
Right.
And those have multiple channels. That means if I am crazy enough, I could have double the channels of that studio. You know, I know there's a lot, there's a lot of people who engineer you know, artists and musicians, like an orchestra, for instance. You're dealing with what, 60 channels. It's actually crazy.
Doesn't Books do things like that?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't even know what it meant, but when I heard it, I was like, okay, sounds like a lot.
Yeah, he does do those things, but the difference is he uses a digital audio workstation, which means he doesn't need that big studio.
Right.
Do you understand? So what PH was saying was that we all know that all you have to do is just plug in the aux onto your laptop and you have this big studio that you're looking for.
Right.
Because it's been digitized. Okay? That entire space has been digitized. So all you're doing when you step into a place like that is you're creating the ambience, you know.
The aesthetic.
The aesthetic. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. You're creating the aesthetic, you know, and I mean, it's a great thing. It allows people to make platinum streaming music in their bedrooms because they have access in a digital way to those channels, to those plugins, to those compressors, you know, to those tubes, which, I mean, old heads, right? Old sound engineering heads will say, yo, it doesn't sound the same. Analog has like a much crispier, a much crispier sound.
I'm gonna stop it right there because Mr. Instro's gonna go off on a tangent. It's just gone 1 minute after 7 o'clock. We're going until 7:30. It is the producer spotlight. We're taking a look at Cardiak, and you're gonna hear more about Cardiak on the other side of these. It's just gone 5 minutes after 7 o'clock. We're in the second and final hour of the show. We are still in the middle of the producer spotlight. We kicked off this hour with The Game and Diddy with Kill Everything. We are taking a look at Cardiak this evening, our producer on the producer spotlight. Make sure that you guys check us out on YouTube. When last did you watch your own YouTube videos, Mr. Instro?
On Saturday.
Good job. That's a good answer.
I did, man.
About to rip you apart, man.
No, like, yo, you did before, so we know when it drops and we must distribute.
Right. So, as you can hear, I am a ripper aparter, so please do check it out. We are the Element SA on YouTube, and you can find all the producer spotlights under the playlist The Producer Spotlight with Mr. Instro, including this one. All right, so taking a look at Cardiak, there's something interesting that you told me, and that was that his first album purchase was the Black Album.
Yes. Before we go,
one of my favorites, by the way.
Yes, like that's it's in my top 5 as well. Like
nice.
It's a very strong It's a very strong album. It's a strong presentation from Jay-Z. I think that's when he was like really like. I understand why he wanted to call it a day to retire after an album like that, because like it's there. But before we get into the Black Album,
yes,
I have to say, right, we are at that age, Aziz.
Wait, we who? Find out now.
Sonke, all of us.
Wait, what's the age category?
Musicians, sonke. We are at that age, okay, where the analog and digital discussion is played out, okay? Do not come here and tell me about how analog is what and digital is what. Don't do that, because the software we have is excellent.
Okay.
The stuff that we have now that we can access digitally,
yes,
is at its highest level that it's ever been. Okay.
All right.
There's no reason. There is absolutely no reason for anybody to not record music or to not make music because they don't have access to an analog studio.
Right.
All you're doing is you're holding yourself back. So don't even entertain the thought. Analog, yes, it's nice. If you have it, yeah, it's nice. You know, it'll give you a nice warm sound. But come on, guys. Let's not have that debate anymore. It has to die because we're living in a digital world. Okay?
All right. So if you like Mr. Instro and you bump into him anyway, well, I'm going to say maybe in the next few months, because Mr. Instro is very responsible. So you won't see him at Groove and stuff during the peak of a pandemic.
No,
but
you won't.
If you bump into him even in the mall or something, if he's waiting for his coffee or something like that, and you really want to strike up a conversation and impress him, do not go for analog versus digital. I'm helping you because he's gonna come back and tell me and right? Right. Let's get back to Cardiak.
Yeah. So Cardiak bought the Black Album, right? And that's where he sort of like fell in love with the Sonics.
Okay.
Right? And the Sonics specifically from Just Blaze.
Ah.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
he mentions that Just Blaze is his favorite producer.
Dope. Shout out to
And
Just
you know,
Blaze.
like, man, I wish we could do another producer spotlight on Just Blaze because I feel like the last one that we did sort of touched the surface and it focused more on his beginning stage. Just Blaze right now in the late 2015, 2016, 2017 up until now, he has been instrumental in a lot of these young and up and coming producers, you know, so he deserves that shine. He deserves for us to really crack his story again, but maybe that's a story for another day.
I just had an idea.
Okay, good. Keep it. We'll talk about it. Yeah. So yeah, I think Just Blaze is one of the dopest people to emulate when it comes to, you know, being a music producer.
Right.
He has stepped outside of just being passionate about the music, just, you know, making sure, or just having the gift of making music. He is also an accomplished businessman. Right. You know, he's an accomplished A&R. He can put together a song with the most unlikely people and make a great song out of it. And I think, yeah, man, he's definitely one of the greats. And I loved it when I heard Cardiak talk about him, because I felt the same. I was like, yeah, actually, he's just one of those people that you don't really, it doesn't come up there, but it's there.
Right.
Do you understand? So yeah, big shout out to Cardiak for mentioning Just Blaze and the Black Album, because also sonically, the Black Album, it sounds like it's time. I don't know if you understand what I mean when I say it. It's like when you listen to it today, you know exactly, like you can feel it in the music. You know what was happening
the
then.
Climate of the time. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that's how you make classic albums.
True.
That's if you can define the times in your music, then you've hit the nail on the head. And I think it's worth mentioning, and it's worth applauding, you know, to say, yo, big up to the Black Album, because it influenced so many of us. A
lot of people.
Right?
They must fix.
Yeah.
They must fix. All right, so we're going to shift gears.
Yes, let's shift gears.
And we're moving to something that we've spoken about before at length.
Yes, let's talk
about it. And I always like the chat, because I feel like I always walk away learning something new.
Yes.
Sampling.
Yes. Cardiak is man, he started off sampling, right?
Okay.
But what I love most about him is that he creates samples. He's got sort of like
okay, so for those of us who call the big production desk a thingy, why is that special to be able to create a sample?
Because you can sell it. You can sell samples. Him and Critical produced Love Yours, right?
Yes.
Man, there are 4 producers on Love Yours, okay? How many times have we played Love Yours in this
in the segment,
in this producer spotlight?
Yes.
We played it 3 times.
I don't want to lie. Ne? It's just I'm a student, so I know better than to question certain things. When I saw it, in my heart I was like, is he sure?
Yeah.
Does he know what he's talking? Was this a mistake?
Nah.
Did he rush? And then I was like, you know what? I know better.
There's a beautiful story behind Love Yours. I mean, so it's Critical, it's Ill Mind,
yes,
it's Cardiak,
yes,
and it's J.Cole. All 4 of them dudes are producers, okay?
Hectic.
So you know that like it was a beautiful time when the stars were aligned and everybody was like, okay, cool. So that piano, okay, that Critical played it,
okay,
right? And then Cardiak chopped it. Okay. And then he sent it to Illmind.
Okay.
Illmind did the drums and the bass.
Okay.
So it's credited as being an Illmind production because he did most of like the body of the production. But you absolutely cannot exclude Cardiak and Critical.
Right.
Because they gave birth to the idea. Do you understand? And that's why it's so important to talk about samples, because you can, as a producer, be the samples guy.
Right.
Okay? Just like these guys are. With Deep Waters, all he did was the drums, you know? And it's so beautiful for me to be able to collaborate on a level like that.
Right.
You know, to say, okay, cool, I have a vision for these drums. I have a vision for how we're gonna do this sample, and then you just collaborate and it becomes a beautiful song. So I think we need to also encourage producers not to be scared of feel it, because I know with me, right, back in the day, I won't mention names, but them dudes used to be mad at me for presenting samples.
Right.
You know, I'd be like, okay, cool, this beat is not done, and then you'd be like, no, then don't play it for me. I'm like, why must I not play it for you? It might give you an idea. We might do something. It's like, no, it's not done. I'm like, no, guys, this is the creative process, guys. We need to let me at least play it for you,
right,
and give you an idea of what I'm thinking,
right?
You know, and that's how I guess you open up the possibilities of making something you never even thought you could make.
Right.
And I bet you that's how these guys feel about Love Yours. Because when Cardiak chopped that piano, I don't think he had an idea what Illmind was gonna do.
Right.
Do you understand? And that's the beauty.
So, okay, we're gonna do this in a minute because we need to play Rick Ross with Diced Pineapples. When I hear that story and I hear all of that, it makes me think of something that you've been saying since we began the producer spotlight, which is collaborate.
Yes.
What are some of the tips? Let's say I'm a super green producer.
Yes.
Maybe not super green, but green enough that I haven't collaborated enough.
You're right.
How do I start to collaborate well?
Have manners. be a cool person, you know, like just be in a place to open yourself up to other people's energies. You know, I think music is, I mean, I've said it, music is about vibes, man. It's about how we relate to each other. I don't think people understand that sometimes people can hear when a song was done without love.
Right.
You know, it's like cooking. You know, when you cook, you know that.
Yes.
You know the food that we get at some of these supermarkets. You're like, whoo, it's spicy. It's short. I feel like a lerato. I want a if they added love in this thing, it would taste nice. You know, and that's the missing ingredient that we miss sometimes when we make music. We look at the artist and we're like, oh, this artist is big, let me just do what I gotta do and get my guap. But man, people can hear that. People aren't, and you should never think that your audience is dumb.
Yes, don't underestimate the intelligence of your audience.
Never underestimate. Oh yeah, I'm politically correct, right? Don't think you're like what Aziz said. What Aziz said. Don't take it. Don't think that your audience can't hear some of the vibrations that come out of the music that you guys made, especially if it was just a business transaction. Have you heard some of these features that come on and you're like, la,
I don't like Mr. Instro's questions.
La bam kaye 50,000. And that was that, you know, like he gave you the verse and he don't even know your name. You know what I mean? He don't even know what you look like. He just saw the 50,000 and he was like, yo.
That's that no Vaseline thing.
That's that no Vaseline thing.
All right, it's just gone 7 minutes before we hit 7:30. We just gave you Rick Ross, Drake, and Wale with Diced Pineapples. We are wrapping up the producer spotlight, having taken a look at Cardiak this evening, and we've got so much more that Mr. Instro still wants to give us before we walk away tonight. Now, earlier on, you're speaking about Love Yours and all these different producers that are a part of it.
Yeah.
Now, when something like that happens, let's say DJ Twa walks in and he's like, yo, I want Instro, I want Pristine, and I want Chules, and I want you guys to come together and to make me something dope. How are each of us supposed to negotiate what happens?
Yeah.
Do we negotiate as a collective because they asked for all three of us? Do I go negotiate my bit? You go negotiate your bit? And how does that work? How do we go about that?
Yeah. It's very important for me to mention to producers that these percentages, these splits are not regulated. Okay?
True. Okay.
So it's important that when you measure your own contribution, you become realistic. Okay? There's a word, or is it a phrase? There's a phrase, okay, in the game. That phrase is dangerous. That phrase will take a lot of your money.
Okay.
And I want to implore you as a music producer, never, ever, ever, ever to take that phrase into consideration. Okay. That phrase is industry standard. They'll tell you, no. It's industry standard for you to get 5%. No. We are looking at what I have done, my contribution, the value of what you have done as a producer on this record, right? A lot of producers find themselves not getting what they deserve and disappearing in the background because they have no knowledge of this, right? So my advice would be, first and foremost, just go straight to a representative. Okay. It doesn't even have to be a lawyer.
Right.
It just needs to be somebody who's well versed in contracts and someone who understands, you know, the music business.
The business.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a lawyer.
Right.
I know there's a lot of lawyer talk, but
yes,
if you can read and if you can understand certain things, especially your own process, if you understand what you are doing and what you are contributing,
Yes.
in fact, you should be able to draw up your own contract.
Right.
Okay? Which is something that I only learned a couple of years ago, and I started to draw up my own contracts, and
Dope.
I realized that, yo, man, a lot of people were relieved. They were relieved that I could present something that they could go, oh, okay, let's just negotiate this, okay, there, maybe let's give this to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? But also, guys, don't do this while you're making music. Okay, when you are making the music, that talk will destroy the vibes. Okay, you're like, guys, you're only giving me 5%. Okay, let me give you that snare. That's it. You understand? Like, it really destroys the vibe. So it's important for us to, as producers, to make the music first. I know that it's dangerous. I know you could work on somebody's PC and then a month later you're gonna find that thing on radio.
Right.
Okay, that's a very big possibility.
Hey.
Which is why it's so important to have representation. People need to be able to take you seriously. That's where you find where you can just have the letter of demand there and say, hi guys, y'all went over and messed up and not consulted me on this release, and yo, I want my money.
So just a quick one, Mr. Instro, because I know you've got other stuff to say, but I'm super interested in finding out just the importance of, if I'm Azizzar the producer or Azizzar the artist, should I just have these documents like a standard template of them ready there, rather than, so that people know that when I'm working with Azizzar, this is what is coming about? Because I find that in the industry, a lot of people do, Instro, you're my bro, so
Exactly.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, for me, as soon as the song is done, it doesn't even have to be mixed. As soon as the song is done, let's talk, let's negotiate those splits. Let's not even waste time. I would do it as soon as the next day, because I had those templates, and I had, I was lucky enough to have access to a lot of these contracts as time went on, and then obviously I made my own edits.
I feel
you. Made enough music so that I don't need to discover new things about that contract.
Right.
So as a producer, I think it's incredibly important to not let that process meddle with the music making process. That's the first thing. Like, please guys, don't negotiate your splits while you're making music. That's very important. Do it when the song is done. Okay, yes, the risk is high, but do it when the song is done. And that's another way. I just gave you a way of how to go about it. Send a letter of demand. If you find yourself in a situation where your song was used or your beat was used or whatever contribution you made to the song, please, like, seek legal counsel. And the beautiful thing about that is, if it really is true that you were a contributor in that song, then it's easier for you to take all the publishing, or to it's easy for you to make the rules about what happens to that song. Do you understand? Because there was no consultation, so that nullifies what that contract or what the splits that already exist are about.
Yes,
do you understand?
Yes.
So please guys, relax, make the best music that you can, and then only move to the splits, negotiate, see how you can benefit from whatever's happening. Don't be scared of not taking the master as a producer. Don't be scared of that. It's okay. People like Cardiak are proving to us that those things are not more important than publishing. Nothing will ever be more important than owning your publishing. Okay, master, you don't need to worry too much. But right now, as music producers, I think the matter of ownership is definitely important. But I think more than anything, we should be in a position to publish, to have ownership of our publishing. There needs to be a phone call, you know, hey guys, we want this ad wants to do. There needs to be consultation. Do you understand? And as far as you can get that, then focus on the music, bro. You know, if you can get your artists or your labels to agree with you on that part, then just focus on the music. Then you'll find yourself having a much more a creative space to work in. Because a lot of us, I know with me, when I started, I was always concerned about that. I was always concerned about, is this person dogging me?
Are they gonna screw me over?
Are they gonna screw me over? And it would always translate in the music. So guys, please, let's get into a stage where we make music or the process of making music fun. Because music is life, guys, you know. And if you are making it while you're dying, you're not making anything.
Yes. Ooh, that's a quotable. Tapo, make a time mark there. It was just there.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Instro, in 1 minute, because we have to play Lloyd Banks with Started Up.
Yeah, that's
what you gotta say. Wrapping it all up, the producer spotlight, the Cardiak edition.
Okay. Respect Cardiak.
Yes.
Because he has shown us, go do your research, he has shown us that he is not afraid to collaborate. Okay, respect Cardiak because he makes music that people gravitate towards, and he knows his audience. He knows his clients. You know, he in fact establishes relationships with A&Rs. Establish relationships with people that are influential. Okay. And you cannot do that if you are an a-hole. You know, you cannot establish great relationships if people think you've got a nasty attitude.
True.
You know, establish your relationships. You cannot collaborate. You cannot, like, it takes a certain level of maturity
100%.
for ill mind to receive a sample from Cardiak and go, finish this. You know, it takes a certain level of excitement and creativity for me to play something and just vibe with it, and then it ends up being one of the most authentically beautiful hip-hop songs we've heard in a while. Yeah, you know. And so guys, like, attitude is everything. Watch this guy. This guy is gonna be with us for many years to come, just off of his etiquette, how he treats other people. So please take that into consideration. And that's me. That's the final thing.
That is Mr. Instro, having come through with another edition of the Producers Spotlight, having taken a look at Cardiak this evening. Keep an eye out. You will see it on YouTube on the Element SA. And to close it off, we go all the way back to the beginning. Lloyd Banks, Started Up, featuring Kanye West, Swizz Beatz, Ryan Leslie, and Fabo.
The Producer Spotlight with Mr. Instro.
You can be a beat maker and not be a music producer. But when you're a music producer, you don't have to be a beat maker.
Only on the Element.